Well, damn it, finally found some pretty bad cancer. I was wondering why the board up there was so warped on the inside, and I saw some bubbling. You can see this whole thing looked like this, and I just pushed with my finger. But fortunately, it's bad, but I feel like I can cut that out and weld something in temporary or even permanent and just shoot this stuff back on and be good to go. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why that was heaved so bad. Bummer, but that's okay. It's not on the Deuce, and it's very repairable. Hello, Internet. Doing a little continuation of my Deuce and a half project here. I already posted videos, not great ones, but my floor. So I cut out the rust, the really bad stuff. I still got a little bit there. And then I cut this piece of metal out to fit best as possible. Somebody on one of my videos, when I showed you how to do the roof, or what I was doing for a temporary fix to at least seal it off, I was told I needed to learn how to do metal work. So, to appease the people of the internet, I do have some idea. Of course, somebody, some master fabricator probably going to dip in and tell me what I could do better, which is absolutely fine. But that's what I got. I'm going to spray undercoat it and just get something on there, run some bolts through it, and put some boards, cut them down with a table saw to somewhat match right here. It's not going to look great, but it'll look a lot better than this. I won't have a hole in the floor. So that's it. Thank you for joining me. So I think this is my end result. Notice I didn't put any welds across the cross members. I didn't really think it necessary to weld into those. But and I just kind of stitched it just enough to where it'll hold really well, but not so much where I can't take and grind them off pretty easy. And cut this back out for if I rip the whole deck out and want to redo it or patch what's underneath of me or whatever. Normally you'd take a wire wheel and wire wheel off where you have your where I've primed it, to protect it. I didn't. I just burned through it. Welds turned out okay. I got some that are a little bit chummy. I mean, it burns the paint right off. It's so hot. And normally also I would have taken and made a template with this. This was a rectangle that covered this whole thing. And from underneath, and it was why this ended up a little goofed up like this, was underneath, trying to scribe underneath those cross members. There were these gaps, so I just kind of had to fill in where I think they kind of were. And I got it pretty close, and I only had to grind down. You see a spot right there, I got an arrow where I had to grind down. Then, of course, I took a little bit too. But, I mean, it turned out pretty good. If you take a template, there's that corrugated plastic they use for campaign signs. That works really well, a little better than cardboard. It's a little tougher. And then you can make 3 or 4 of them, and, if one doesn't turn out quite right, scribe that one and mark where you need a little more meat, and then cut it out, get it close, and then it gives you a few do-overs. This I just kind of went for the whole thing. You also could have just I could have just left this rectangle. Could have just set this on top here and just left it hang over the lip right here all the way around. Really would have been a perfectly acceptable way to do it. It kind of depends on your level of skill or how much time you want to put in. Or, practice makes perfect. I mean, challenge yourself. See if you can get it perfect. You get frustrated with it and you kind of don't have the time or the run out of material or whatever. Challenge yourself. Make it as best you can. This is about what I can do for my skill level. I've been doing stuff like this for quite a while, and I do have a lot of tools at my disposal. I got friends and my dad's friends who've been master welders for the last 50 years, and they haven't been doing it 40 hours a week. They've been doing it 60 hours a week for that amount of time. And these, I can get some advice from those guys, and I did talk to a couple of them about how I should do this, and this is about what they recommended. Not welding all the way around, just takes a lot of time, and again, if I have to take it back out. And so I'm going to get underneath where I showed you the bolt holes before. Drill, after I get my boards in, drill through. These, I could grind these flush, which I might do, because my boards are not going to lay flat, which they pretty much won't anyway. So I might take and just put a glob of paint on on the section I'm going to do with my 2x6. You know, come to this thickness, I don't think that's 3.5 inches. I think I'm going to have to rip the board down to probably, I mean, that looks closer to 2 inches, which is no big deal. Put a glob of paint on these, push it down, take some kind of tool, grind out little holes for them just so they sit a little bit better. Or, I mean, if they seem to sit in there okay, just leave it as is, and it's going to be bolted down. Again, I didn't weld this all the way around. It doesn't have to be that strong. Wood is going over the top of it, and then I'm going to run bolts through it anyway. And it's going to have boards going all the way across. There will be plenty strong. You know, shouldn't leak. I'm going to hit the underside with some kind of undercoating. So, what I got so far, hope this is informational to somebody or maybe a little inspiring. You think if I can do it, I mean, anybody can, you know, give it a shot. So I will do probably one more video with the end result, or I might post this one and get back to you later. So thanks for joining me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and join this video to the other ones. Got to this pretty quick. I'm going to show you in. So these are not 2x4s and these are not 2x6s. So I got to trim them down. And this is 1.25 inches. So I went ahead and ripped it and so forth. And right here, this edge kind of tucks underneath here. So what I'm going to do there, take that distance, you set your blade to depth, and then you just knock this stuff out to give you that little trim piece. And I'm going to use the rip side. This end ended up screwed up, but see how you got kind of a gap there? What I'm going to do is use the rip side. I don't know how well you can see, but it makes a little bit nicer seam right there. So that's what I'm going to do there. So stay tuned. I will have the rest of this and all bolted in and throw out some other hurdles I have. So okay, this one went in pretty nice. I got to rip it down to match that one. So it goes wide, narrow, narrow, wide, narrow. So I'm going to try to match that. I mean, the wood's completely different. It doesn't look spectacular, but it's what I got. I'll probably stain it with something. So this does have a groove here, and I deem it necessary to go ahead and match that. I mean, you're not going to see it. You know, I'm always saying kind of challenge yourself and make it as nice as you possibly can just so you learn a little bit more. But we, of course, are restricted by tools and wood availability. I've got a whole stack of it over there. I also talked about maybe marking the bottom for these so they sit a little flatter, but I feel like that sits pretty nice. And it seems pretty good. And I'm going to bolt it down across these cross members. You can see them right there. There are holes for those, so I'm going to get bolts ran through them. And also, if I match that pattern, hopefully those will stay centered. Centered, not centered, not centered, centered. So stay tuned. Okay, here's what I got. Getting a little closer. They're sitting down pretty flat. I got these seams here, but when you're ripping vertically, it's really pretty hard to flip it over and get it right on the other side. When you're using scrap wood, kind of got to look at where your prettier side is. So do I rip this off or that off? I rip this off, that side's going to be down, but I might have these massive gouges, so I'm going to go ahead and rip this side, and then hopefully I just have a nice pretty little hole there. So I know it looks like this stuff is happening instantly, but I promise you there's just 20 minutes between each video, so I'll be back. So this is about what it's going to look like. Stuck that one in. It was like less than 3.5. I had to notch out for some welds in there. So I'm going to pop these back out. I'll throw that one in, then this one on top of it, obviously. Fits pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and throw some goop underneath that seam because I have some extra left over. And we'll go from there. Okay, here's where my stopping spot's at. Got those drilled, one there I can't get to. I'm going to take and pull the burr off of those. Put a little goop around there, put these on, bolt them down. I derped over that these were carriage bolts, so I wanted to match, so I got an actual hex head. So as soon as I get that done, the parts will finish getting them in, throw a little stain on there. Okay, I got the final product pretty much with my Deuce van floor repair. I know you guys feel like you time travel, but this took me way longer than since the last clip ended. So, took these carriage bolts, I countersank them slightly with this. You want to use this style, not the one with the threads on the end. They didn't turn out quite even, but that's just the way they were spaced. I am going to stain this. My only thing here, you see these ridges right here, and that from the saw, having to flip the board over because it'll only cut this far. How you'd fix this, you would leave 1/8 of an inch and you'd take a planer and take it down to where it's totally smooth. But I didn't think of it till after the fact, and it is still just a floor, so I kind of missed a chance to get better with another tool and get a little practice with some scrap wood. Not that big a deal. These fit pretty tight. When I first did them, they were really tight, and then they shrank a little bit, and I just had my neighbor come over and take a pry bar, pry it away from the wall a little bit to get them as tight as possible. And he watched up here, and I had him stop me when they sank down. Some of them sank a little bit far, so that one looks real good. I did, as you see this right here, it's just barely in. That's about all the further I screwed in, but the head sank a little further. I think this is oak, so it's a way harder wood, so you wouldn't sink them like that. So I got them as tight as I could with the boards down tight, and I sank them a little bit far, but no big deal. Hopefully someday this will totally get redone. Underneath, I use this Duplicolor truck bed liner. I tried this, and it was terrible. I'm going to take what I couldn't use back. The tip of it was just globbing up on me real bad. I can get the cap off. You can see where it wouldn't really spray. I don't know if it was just a defective can or what it was. Those guys right there, had them soaked down. That soaked down real nicely. I was pretty happy with that. Come out here. You can see the seam right there, and you can keep glopping this stuff on until you get rid of that seam a little bit. It went on pretty thick, pretty nicely. You see in there, I took and buried the heads of the bolts in with it as well. And this did use that entire can pretty much. It does go on pretty thick, and I can't tell you how good it will be, of course, until after I run it for a while. I see where the seam came together real nice right there. You know, I could dump some more on there to trim it out a little bit, but it is underneath of it. The only people that are going to see it are the people that I directly want to show the results of my project. So turned out pretty good. That's it for this one. Let me know what you think. I'd like to hear some feedback of some things that maybe do better next time or what have you. So hope you enjoyed the video, and hope maybe you're a little inspired to maybe try repairs such as this yourself, and maybe you think if an idiot like me can do it, then you should be able to do it yourself. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching.